Trump's tariffs aren't a trade tactic. This is economic warfare aimed at reshaping global trade, and Canada is about to get steamrolled. For weeks now, we've had Trudeau's cabinet ministers stumbling over their words, pretending they have no clue what Trump's up to with these tariffs. And the media? Well, half of them are running around with this absurd idea that Trump has no grand plan, that he's just winging it with a vanity project. But don't be fooled. The man literally has an entire strategy laid out in black and white. Have you ever heard of Stephen Mirren? Probably not, because our media refuses to cover anything that doesn't fit their narrative. This guy isn't some random talking head. He's a Harvard-trained economist, a former senior advisor to the US Treasury, and now Trump's nominee for the Council of Economic Advisors. And he's written a whole blueprint explaining how Trump plans to use these tariffs as a weapon, and not just against Canada, but to reshape the entire global economic system. How, you ask? America has a trade report that's been tabled in Congress every year since the Clinton administration. It lists all of the countries alphabetically and the specific protectionist measures that they're using to restrict US trade access. Now, we'll just focus on Canada. This list has been very consistent over the last 30 years. Americans do not like our supply management agreement, which limits agriculture and food production. They hate the Broadcast Act, our Telecom Act, and they really don't like our protectionism in the banking sector, all because these limit American access to our economy. And what did Trump say on his call with Trudeau the other day when he granted us this 30-day extension? He said, let's talk about banking and telecom. So the door has already been opened. Mirren spells it out quite clearly. The US thinks that it has been too generous for decades, letting other countries enjoy easy access to its market while they put up barriers to American businesses. They believe the system has hollowed out the American manufacturing industry and overvalued the US dollar, making it harder for them to compete globally. So this is Trump's ultimate plan. He's taking this list, sorting the allies from the adversaries, and strategically wielding tariffs to reshape global trade. The enemies will be isolated through economic pressure and other means. As for his so-called allies, tariffs will be used as leverage to crack open their protectionist policies and force open their markets to American businesses. And this isn't just about trade. Like I said, this is about constructing a new global economic order. And they're not only going to use the military like these past empires, they're going to use raw economic power to strong-arm the world into submission. It's essentially globalism 2.0 built to serve America first. And guess what? Canada is at the front line. We've had decades of privileged access to the US market, and now Trump is saying exactly that. That was a privilege, not a right. So we're about to get hit pretty hard. Big banks are warning of a 3+% drop in our GDP, which will fall somewhere between $80 billion and $100 billion annually. And while some estimates expect Canada to lose 200,000 jobs, Doug Ford is out here warning that Ontario could lose over 500,000 alone. And while he may be indulging in hyperbole, it's clear that the economy and Canadians will suffer. So what's the plan? Well, let's put the border solutions aside because we know they're only part of the short-term equation. When these tariffs return, the Liberal Party wants to go toe-to-toe with Trump, a dollar-for-dollar tariff war, which he's promised will only result in more tariffs. And if we're being logical about this, he's the elephant and we're the ant. We don't survive this fight. As for how they want to bolster the economy, leaders like Trudeau and even Doug Ford are spouting off about pandemic-style bailouts. Literally, the last thing we need to do is continue printing money and running deficits that will take generations to fix. So here's the bottom line. Canada is asleep at the wheel while the US is rewriting the global economic rules. And we can't just afford to sit by and hope that it gets better or print money to buy our way out of this. We need leadership that will stand up for Canadians, fight for our industries, leverage our natural resources, diversify our trading partners, and stop selling us out at every turn. Otherwise, we're about to get generationally steamrolled.